What's going on, everybody? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing. It is the start to another great week. It's Monday. Happy morning, everyone. Happy morning. Happy Monday morning, everyone. Hope you're well and doing great. A lot to talk about. I think it's going to be a fun session. It's going to be a matcha morning. I got some matcha in my hand over here, trying to get myself into those alpha wave state of flow over here. Really make this session with you all count. Loving those milkshakes over here. The dollar, right? I'm up here on the pound US dollar to start the session. That's because we've been seeing the pound being a little bit beaten up this morning. That's coming off of news. The pound is sliding here this morning on the fact or the update that the break exit news that perhaps they're going to be walking away from the deal today. That they're not going to be able to make any type of agreements to leave with a deal. The pound is currently being repriced. You could see that in the dollar over here. This move up on the dollar was mostly with the pound being repriced. Look at the euro US dollar. Let's get some perspective as that as well as we look at the two. You could see the euro also on the pressure as the dollar became bid, but nothing like what happened on the pound, and that's since being faded right now. You can see the pound is well off its lows. What's happening right over here, and by the way, this is probably the big news of the day, in my opinion. We're now seeing that Senate Majority Leader, McConnell, is looking to have almost a $1 trillion package, a $900 billion package to provide. They call it pandemic relief. They're saying it's bipartisan. We'll see. As one party says, well, we want $2 trillion, and the other is like, oh, well, we said we want $450 billion. But we'll see. That's possibly by the year end. That could send these equity markets, which continue to have this ultra bullish technicalness to them, that could continue to send them up. We'll look at that in a second. But here, what's going on with the sterling? We could see right now that we're saying that Prime Minister Johnson is ready to pull out of the talks within hours. Now, whether or not this is last minute, 11th hour posturing, trying to get a deal done, probably it is. And that's why I say stay away from the pound until we come to some type of resolution. Because we could see the pound continue this volatility now to the upside. If all of a sudden it looks like they're coming closer to a negotiation and all of a sudden they're going to let the French come in there and steal all their fish. Or they could say, you know what, we're just leaving with no deal, and then we might see the initial reaction of the pound to be a continued sell-off. We'll look at a couple of different ways to play the pound as we come to a resolution in a little bit. We'll look at that in a little bit, but right now, let's first get our bearings of what's going on here in the markets. We're going to start off with Bitcoin before we get to the equity markets. And here's the 3-day of Bitcoin. You could see a couple of things that I want to point out to you. The first is after that 16% pullback, right? 16.5% pullback. That first red bar in 13 red bar days. You could let me take a sip of some matcha tea and find the flow over here. And then that was all of a sudden, that was as far as we went, a lot sooner than I expected, a lot sooner than most. The conversation is, is it possible because of the development we're seeing in Bitcoin, as far as when I say development, I say the amount of funds and public companies now purchasing Bitcoin. By the way, MicroStrategy just went ahead and trolled every other public company by purchasing another $50 million of Bitcoin for their balance sheet. That matched Square's total investment into Bitcoin. What is happening, or what's going to happen, is going to be a real race. And when you look at the top holders of Bitcoin, by the way, MicroStrategy is like top 5 holder. That's going to stick out like a sore thumb for every other public company. How soon before Zuckerberg is like, oh, wait a second, I want Facebook to have the most Bitcoin, right? It's going to happen. It's going to happen during this bull market phase that we see that race continue. Nevertheless, that brings me to where we are at Bitcoin, and we're still right here at this resistance. We've been hugging this resistance here now for almost a week. Right over there, you could see it very clearly. It's hard to say on what side we're on. If you come down to the 8-hour, you can see this clearly. We're just stuck at that level. Obviously, this is going to lead to the next big break, whether it's to the upside, which we're all hoping. Now, could you imagine here, as we're pushing into the end of the year, it's already December the 6th. If we're pushing into the end of the year and we start talking about a legit stimulus deal getting done, right? You could imagine Bitcoin going bid over here into the end of the year. By the way, let me just throw this out there for you. I am targeting now, I'm targeting $40,000 on Bitcoin next, right? Now, whether that's going to happen in the first quarter of 2021 or not, that's the question, and it could, right? But why am I targeting that? So what happened over here, right? We're trading at new all-time highs. We've traded at new all-time highs. We just had the largest closely week in Bitcoin's history, right? Here's what's happening. If you look at the low over here, this was only 16.5%, but that's what it was, and we're now making new highs, okay? So that's why I'm recalculating. If you take a 150% move, which is the norm going back towards the last cycle, not even 150%. It's really somewhere between 160 and 170%. I use 150% here because I like to set goals that I believe could be achieved over here. 150% right off of the low over here, right around 16,200, is more or less $40,000. I don't know if it's 40,500 or whatever the case is, it may be, but it's 40,000, and that's what I'm targeting next. Now, is it possible, just so everyone knows and there's no confusion, is it possible that we pull back 30% from where we are right now? And where would that take us? 100%, absolutely. That will take us right into this beautiful technical area, by the way, of 13,500. I say beautiful because we have this nice trend line support over here. This line over here is a pretty big deal. And then we have horizontal support as well. That's a big area. Is it possible? It is. It's not looking likely at this point, right? Now, that could change very quickly and within one day. Why do I say that? Because by the end of the day today, we could be trading back down at 17,000, testing that support over there. And then if we break it, all of a sudden, things have changed really quickly. All right? Don't get comfortable. Don't think that like it's the bull of all bulls. I've said it before. And the trick is being able to ride it. So you can't get yourself over positioned, right? And by the way, trading Bitcoin at the cross, just holding Bitcoin itself with zero leverage, is a fantastic trade. However, here we are. We've had a pullback. It was less than I estimated so far, less than I expected, and we have since recovered from it. So now I'm looking up towards the next leg. I am targeting $40,000. If you're still wondering whether or not $20,000 Bitcoin is cheap, I do think that it's only a matter of time before we don't see that again. So there's Bitcoin. So gold, let's look at, the question is, what do I think of gold? Let's take a look at over here. And if you were to make a trade over here, right, if this is probably one of the easiest trades you can make in the upcoming year. This is gold versus Bitcoin, but I digress. That's not true, because really Bitcoin versus almost anything is probably the best trade you can make. Now, there are a couple of anomalies in that, and one of those happened to be most likely Ethereum, right? And then you have other altcoins. Altcoins and crypto aside, traditional assets versus Bitcoin. This is gold versus Bitcoin. Do you think that we're bottoming out here on the gold to Bitcoin ratio? Do you think we're bottoming out here as Bitcoin's getting ready here for its bull market move? I don't think so. I think we're going to see we're going to see gold significantly repriced in Bitcoin's terms, but it's not just gold, right? It's everything else. So right now, should your focus be on gold right now? No, I don't think so, right? In my opinion, that's not where your focus should be. What's going on with gold, though, right? We just talked about the possibility of this becoming the headlines or becoming the new narrative in the next few weeks, and hopefully so. But I don't know. I to be honest, I have zero trust when it comes to our elected lawmakers. I have zero trust whatsoever. So I don't know. Yeah, Kaya, we're going to check out the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. I'm going to start off with all the pound pairs in a little bit. And then after the pound pairs, we'll start off FX with Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. But we're going to be getting into all of FX. All right. Something that I definitely wanted to bring to your attention over here, because this is related to all of your finance and Bitcoin. This is HSBC, right? Everyone knows HSBC. They've laundered more money than anyone on the planet, right? Any other banking institution, HSBC, right? They froze someone who sought asylum out of Hong Kong, a lawmaker out of Hong Kong. He's in Denmark, and I think trying to go to London. And they froze his accounts, right? So, by the way, here's why I'm bringing this to your attention, is because the same thing when it comes to Bitcoin or gold, right? By the way, you see these nice little ads we have over here. Ultima Venda Nocturna. We are over here in Mexico. We got lots of ads over there, and the reason I bring that up is because people don't understand that I've held on to gold, physical gold and silver for almost a decade, right? Where do I store that? It's stored in vaults in other countries, never stored in the place you live. Now, I do own a bunch of of just random Mexican libertards. Libertards. That's not what they're called. I don't know what they're called. Something like that. Me myself in pronunciations. And yeah, I keep 20 or 30 of them at the house. That's no big deal. But this is Mexico. Can you imagine trying to get into our place? It's like a compound when you go into the gated community. They like check your trunk when you're leaving. This is Mexico. Talk about security. But anyway, security, Bitcoin. What you're doing over here, right? You can't hold all your money at one institution. There's third-party risk. I talk about all the time that I have more worries with third-party risk with the U.S. banks, whether it's Chase Manhattan, Bank of America, or whatever it is. And you can't hold all your funds at one bank, giving all third-party risk to one institution. It's the same thing with Bitcoin. You don't keep all of your Bitcoin in one hardware wallet. You don't keep it all with BlockFi. You don't keep it all with Coinbase. You don't keep it all with Kraken, Gemini, Binance, whatever the case may be. You have to. This guy is not a Bitcoiner. If this guy was a Bitcoiner, he would have no problem right now with all his money, because he would be game playing everything, and especially all his risk, and how to migrate that and spread that out. Now, where else? What are we getting into this morning over here? We got 1,000 people in here, 160 likes. We could get a little bit more. We could get more likes in here. Everyone show some love over there. What if they block us from traveling? How would you access your gold? Or is it possible to vault? yeah, so from any vault that you hold your gold, you could get delivery to another vault somewhere else in the world or to your house if you want it. It's expensive. This is obviously one of the reasons why they're, making the case for Bitcoin over gold is such a thing, right? That's the thing with gold and silver. It's expensive to store. It's also expensive to move. Look, there's a big reason why I'm a big fan. Well, I'm a big fan of both. I am a big fan and always will be. And again, I could imagine myself, this fall, this winter, going ahead and taking a large position. Maybe it won't even be in physical gold. Maybe it'll be in PAX. Maybe it'll be in digital gold, PAX gold. All right, let's see what's going on with the equity markets this morning here. We have the S&P 500 just off new all-time highs. It looks technically very beautiful over here. Let me try to get a 3-day for you. Let me pull up the 12-hour, and there's not much to go off of. Markets opening up unchanged. I don't know about local Bitcoins. You went to one last night. I would like to know more about that. I know it was a big thing in the past. I don't know. Yeah, you could bury it in your backyard for sure. So gold is heavy, silver is heavier, the equivalent of silver. I've traveled through multiple airports around the world with both. It's not easy, and this is why in the end I became more of a gold guy than a silver guy. Try moving $10,000 or let's say $9,000 so you don't meet customs. Try moving $9,000 of silver versus $9,000 of gold. It's just crazy. So. Last week, we saw a flash crash on the SPY, QQQ, BTC, and EC. I don't know. You have to check with your broker. I'm not sure what flash crash you saw or anything like that or what happens. And you also have to be paying attention to how you get filled on your limit orders, whether you're using last price or the mark price. Be careful of how you're using those things. A quick bit of city. So what city do I live in? Mexico? Yeah, so that's not really here nor there, I've been in here in Mexico for 8 years, but where we live and things like that, you know what? OPSEC, there's no reason. That's all good. What else do we got going on over here? S&P 500, it looks very healthy. There's not else I could say. Watch this channel over here, right? By the way, remember that bull flag we saw developing, the fake out, boom. Right towards near highs, markets opening up unchanged. Let's see what they do. Nasdaq, same exact formation as the S&P 500. You can see it very, very clean, very nice over here. We have all the indexes here, right, at new highs over here. It's very beautiful. Once the Nasdaq was able to get back above that triangle over here, that's when we said it was gravy time for the Is Michael Berry short in Tesla? Well, I don't know. That seems pretty crazy. The thing about Tesla, that if it wasn't for this right now, if it wasn't for this, and we know what's coming in 2021. It's a lot more liquidity, I think, until they want to shut it off. Like IE. But by the way, I don't care what your opinion is on anything on vaccines. But if they want everyone to take a vaccine, right, what are they going to do? They're going to end all the aid, and gosh, this is such a difficult time right now. You're seeing so many Did you hear about in LA, all the restaurants from outdoor dining were closed? And then literally across the street, not even across the street, that they let studios set up outdoor dining with tents for all of the people on the filmmaking studio. It's an absolute travesty what's happening to people over here today. And that's that. So Dow, again, the formation looks very beautiful over here. There's no worrying. There's no warning signs at all. This is the one that I want to just bring to your attention over here on the Russell, right? Because we started seeing that form into that bull flag. It never would have given me an actionable signal, but you can see that it's come way up over here and into the resistance of that over here. So watch again. The Russell seems to be the one that gives us the early canary warning signs. Watch what the Russell does here today. That's what the cues I'm going to take off of. We'll look at it later this afternoon. Yeah, the S&P 500 already looked at. It looks super, super solid over here technically. Super, super, right? Let's see what else we got going on. Let's check out the DXY. right? We got this big spike up this morning during London. By the way, this is just a bit of information. It's not like something that like, listen, this is this, like, avoid this because this is this, right? But Monday tends to be a volatile session. Why does Monday so volatile? In FX is closed over the weekends. We had 2 days, right, of information to price in, and that gets repriced in pretty volatilely on Sunday night on the Asian Open and then into Monday in London. Here's an example of that. Now we have the Monday session, morning session. This one seems to be one of the most beautiful. Expenses are really cheap. This is a really great session for setting tone for the rest of the week. It's Monday. Let's set the tone right here. We're going to do a strong FX. We're going to see what's going on in the markets. Equity markets, there's nothing going on. They're flying and, just maintaining that positive vibe. I don't know. I don't have the feel for those of you that are still holding positions, right? But, we looked at when was the time to take positions on the equity markets, and now is not the time. Now is the time, to be holding well. But so we're not looking for any new positions. Bitcoin, we're just watching as she hugs this area. Look at this. We're getting ready for a big break over there. Let's get into WTI. Oh, the dollar. So what do you make of that? This big spike over here. We're back to where we were, right, at this resistance at 90.80. That's all that's what I'm pricing in right now. We're back over here. If we resume down off of there, uber bearish on the dollar. And if we don't, if we're able to hold this resistance over here and then firm that over into support, we're going to be watching this trend line over there and making sure that we stay below that trend line. Because we're not trading it right now today, not looking for a trade. So off the 8-hour, because there's no trade right now on the indexes. So just moving off of the 8-hour over there. That's why. So let's move. That's a good segue, Kips. Let's move over to we'll start with FX this morning off with looking at the pound. Before we do that, just check in a WTI. It looks a lot like the indexes. Someone was talking about the FTSE 100 this morning. It looks almost the same exact chart pattern as we have over here playing out on gold, including that downward sloping channel, which we've broken out of. Look, we've been tracking this. I still think that this is in play, 49.50, that area over there. And just like the indexes, there's nothing worrisome here about WTI. It all looks very bullish, very sound. All right, let's look at pound. Let's go through all of FX. We'll start with the pound US dollar, which was really sold off today. It sold off. Kip's catching the bottom over here. It sold off right into this area of support, right? What's next? You're in no man's land right now. Listen, the volatility that we saw last week and again today on the pound is a great reminder that right now, be very cautious about taking a position on the pound. We are now into December. We are towards a deadline. The end of the year, it looks to me that what's going to happen either right now, I don't know if you could put hours on it or not, that we're going to soon get either working towards some type of agreement. And if we do that, it looks like the pound, the way the market is pricing it right now, that the pound is going to appreciate. Or Johnson's going to stick to his guns here. They're going to leave without a deal. And it looks like the market is going to price that negatively towards the pound, initially at least. This is the tough thing, is that when you're trying to bet, and this is a bet, if you're trying to make a bet against the pound, it's really tough to kind of invest that way because there's too many variables that are asymmetric, and they could work out either way. I don't really see an edge on this until after we find out what happened. And that includes to see how the market is reacting, because right now the market is reacting negatively for the pound and leaving without a deal. I happen to believe that would be very bullish for the pound in the long term. So maybe you would see a short-term reaction here against the pound if they live without a deal until the bottom was in. I think a great way to trade that, though, this was brought up by Alan asking what's the best way to trade the pound pairs over here. I think it's to go to the video on the channel, how to trade Bitcoin, right? The beginner's guide strategy to Bitcoin, which is probably also one of the most advanced there is if you want to accumulate Bitcoin. and use that for the pound over here. Use the true trend BTC, the longer period. I think that you could find the trend and stick with the trend, because this would not be a swing trade. The pounds coming out of this negotiation could lead to a long-term position trade on the pound. The best way to do any type of position trade is always with the true trend BTC, and just take a look at nickel riding that as well. So let's take a look. Let's see what's going on the 8-hour. All right. Anyway, I mean, it's a great question. I'm glad I caught it. So the question is, why use 3 days for Bitcoin but 8 hours for equities? I use 8 hours for most everything, for all of FX, for equities, and that's because I'm swing trading off the 8-hour time frame over here. This actually breaks down each day into 3 sessions, 3 8-hour sessions, which covers the Asian, which covers the European, and also covers the North American session. It's definitely way more advantage than trading off the daily time frame, which lags, and it also cuts out a lot of the noise of the lower time frames. Now, when you look at Bitcoin right now, and I like to look at it on the 3-day, the reason being is because I'm in a position trade on Bitcoin, right? I'm not, if I'm on the 8-hour, the shorter the time frame you're on, the more apt you are to take trades. I don't want to take any trades on Bitcoin. I've made my trades on Bitcoin. I'm holding position trades. I don't think it's wise at all to try to swing trade Bitcoin during the bull markets phase. I've actually tried to get everyone out of that type of mentality. A trick to do that is to watch it on a larger time frame. The shorter the time frame you watch it, the more apt you are to make some type of decision within all of that noise, and it's just noise, right? All right, let's see. So let's go. Let's start over here. Let's start with Kaya wants to start with the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. We'll do that, and then we're going to go through everything. So what do we have this morning? The first thing I want to look at this Monday morning is see where Japanese yen pairs are trading. Let's do that together. I see that the yen is stronger than the dollar. That's interesting in the fact that we saw that the dollar is bid today. I see that the yen is unchanged versus the New Zealand dollar. We know the New Zealand dollar has been moderately strong for weeks now. I see that the yen is a lot stronger than the pound today, but I also know the pound is getting repriced because of the Brexit negotiations. I see the pound down a lot versus everything. And I see the euro, Japanese yen is unchanged. That's another moderately strong pair like the New Zealand dollar, and it's unchanged versus the pound. I go to the Swiss franc. I'm not going to really include that in my analysis, so I'm going to skip it. And I see that the yen is stronger than the Canadian dollar. That's interesting today. So the first thing I do is look at oil when I see that the Canadian dollar is weak. And I see oil is off today, market, down off 0.5%. That could be weighing right now on the pound Japanese yen, on the Canadian dollar Japanese yen. And then I see the Australian dollar is unchanged versus the Japanese yen. So what does that mean for the yen? The yen is kind of pretty much, I would say, unchanged versus those that are moderately strong. And then you're seeing a little bit of pressure against the Canadian dollar. What's going on? Is that an opportunity here on the Canadian dollar? Is there any support? It's the first thing I'm going to look for. Are we trading down into any support that is really, really worth it? And I'm trying to see it, and I see this whole little bit area over there, but it's not so much of anything. There's nothing that I see here that's attractive to me, Kaya, and trying to look at it and make a case for it. So if I'm looking to trade against the pound, it's not really going to come from the Canadian dollar right now. I think that there are stronger pairs to work off of, like the Australian dollar Japanese yen trade I'm in, or it could be the New Zealand dollar Japanese yen, or the euro Japanese yen, but I don't see it here on the Canadian dollar. All right. Let's skip over to the pound Swiss franc. I don't even have the pound Swiss franc on my pairs because I don't trade it. I'll pull it up for you though. Let me take a look at it. I'm going to start on the 3-day because it's not a pair that I'm familiar. I mean, what could you say? I mean, long term, the trend is definitely down over there. This type of price action, I don't like. So I'm going to avoid it and stay away from it. It's sideways. There's no question about it. Not only that, look at the sideways. Look at the big moves you see, right? It's not the type of, that's why I don't have it on my chart, but I just wanted to look at it for you. I don't see anything right now whatsoever. XRP fork. Why is XRP forking? Why are they forking? No, seriously, why is XRP forking? That sounds so funny. All right. New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. Yeah, that looks beautiful, by the way. Great, 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 great. Eric, thanks for bringing this up over to you. We were just talking about which pairs might look like better opportunities versus the Japanese yen. And this is definitely one. I just want to go ahead and move this line over here. You can see on the way up, this was resistance, which we just flipped. You know, this resistance goes towards the top of the channels. Support goes down towards the bottom. I'm going to move this down over here now. That's our support. We are coming off the support now. That's definitely something to be interested in and take a look. Even getting back, you can see this is a big area over here, right? Why is that? That should be green. Why is that red? There we go. That's a whole new possible leg up over here from where we are. That's a big level that we're coming back in and retesting it. I like the trade a lot. I'm in the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, so I'm not going to take this trade personally, and that's because I'm already highly, well, not highly, but I'm already weighted towards this particular trade just on something different. Okay, it's an airdrop. That sounds a lot. That makes a lot more sense, right? Yeah, I was looking at platinum this morning. Let's take a look at everything. What else did I see? We saw nickel already together, and nickel is just continuing to ride out perfectly. It looks very nice. This is the one I wanted to look at. I saw platinum actually giving an opportunity this morning because as we've been watching it and tracking it breaking out from here ever since we left this flag, and the slope of this flag definitely something that threw me off. We saw this type of upward sloping flag break out to the upside across multiple assets over the last couple of weeks. Now, I normally look for the bull flag, right, which is a downward sloping in an uptrend. This was a rising. We also saw this on the Nasdaq. We saw this on the S&P 500. We've seen this type of price action across the board. Very interesting. But over here on platinum now, you can see that we are coming back now towards an area, right? You can see, let me see that this is right there, the support. Let me draw that in. And we're into it now, so it looks like an opportunity here to be looking to get back into this trade over here, right? This is bullish, 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 and now, here we go. Let me get that up over to where that should be, right about there. And that looks not, it doesn't need to be a touch all the way into it. We have pulled back, you know, right now off of the high. We're reconsolidating here. This looks like an area to be leaning in for sure. Right? All right, so let's see what else. Copper also looks very good over here. Is there any reason to be concerned yet about Dr. Copper? I don't think so. Technically, it looks very beautiful. Not only that, you're towards the support of that little channel, giving a good risk to reward on an entry right now coming up. So those alternate metals are looking very good this morning. The only one we didn't check out was the palladium, and palladium still is the only one I can't really get a good read on. The palladium is the only one that it just has me in no man's land for sure, right? So what else? We got, let's take a look. Let's get back into FX. I want to start with the Euro US dollar. Let's see what's going on over there, all right? And then, so Euro already, the dollar already weakening. Euro right there. Is that an entry that anyone would be interested in? Not myself, right? But you are making that higher high over here at a point of day where you have a tradable, actionable signal right over here. Is that a trade anyone is looking to get into right now, the Euro, Japanese yen? And if so, why? What, you know? I mean, it's not that I couldn't make the case for it, but it's not attractive where I'm looking or being pulled to get involved. So if anyone is interested in the Euro US dollar this morning and or taking that trade, let's talk about that. I would like to know a little bit, right? So let's see. What else we got going on over here? Let's check out the Euro Japanese yen, right? Also, it looks similar to the Euro US dollar. Both look very healthy over here. Um, you know, but nothing pulling at me. Silver and gold, we did give a quick look at, and they're really not something that is warranted focus right now at all. Silver still gets above the 24.32. That will become interesting, I think. Then from there, especially if we start really seeing that stimulus go through by the end of this month, we could see silver and gold get bid, but I don't think it's the place to put the money right now. Doesn't make it. I don't see it. Let's see. Let me continue to see what is on the menu here with FX. That's really what I want to get the focus on. Euro, British pound. Right. So two things. This is the trade I looked at with you last week, and why? Right? Why did I not take that? No question about it. Why did I not take that? Christopher, big shout out, man. Thanks for the love. I appreciate that. And then you had that consolidation and then another breakout. What's happening over here right now? Euro, British pound is coming into an area of supply, right? Is coming into an area of supply. We don't know which way the negotiations are going, but from what it looks like, if they leave without a deal, that's going to benefit the euro and be a drag on the pound, at least initially. In the long term, I think it's going to be good for them. But I don't know. What do you think about this? This is coming to an interesting point right now. Definitely. Let's fix this up a little bit. And then I want to move back towards the Australian dollar pairs and see what's going on. All right, let's first, before we get to the Australian dollar pairs, let's look at the Euro Australian dollar. That still remains right in the center of no man's land, just really not doing much, but dead center between our consolidation. All right, let's start with the Australian dollar, US dollar. Trying to see where that quick pullback came in on the dollar. I don't like, by the way, we'll look at the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar for sure. No, I'm not long natural gas at all. I saw natural gas was down significantly this morning, right? Let's see what natural gas is trading at. Yeah, natural gas is off this morning over here. It's taking out an area of support. Watch this over here. If we close below this area, heads up, we could see further downside. Let's go ahead and see what the next area below that would be tracking. That's all the way around $2.22 in that area. I would be very cautious over here. Now, at the same time, you do have a little bit of a trend line help over here, or no? No. I would say that's the line. All right, let me look on the 12-hour to be a little bit cleaner maybe. I would say that's the line you're looking at over here. You can see it peaked out once below, possibly now losing horizontal support over here at $2.45, and also possibly breaking down outside of that channel. That could be a very negative event if you close outside of here today. Do watch out for that. Watch out for that. Tesla continues to raw, right? Let's see. Wow, 615. So once someone said Michael Berry is betting against it. Look, I don't know if he's betting against it. I guarantee it's towards options. His risk is migrated. He's made a lot of money on the long side on options this year against trading with Apple. I believe also Amazon. I don't know. Let the experts do their thing. I think the one thing to worry about on Tesla, why I look for an interim top to be in, right, this Christmas, we're right before it, as Tesla's added to the S&P 500, but is this time it's different? No, this time is not different, but what's different about what's going on right now is that right now there is an enormous amount of liquidity out there in the global marketplace, and because of that, you're seeing stocks priced appropriate. Tesla could get caught up in all of this madness, especially as we're looking at just continued debt, stimulus, and QE. So, what's going on, Brooklyn? Good morning. I don't know how big his bet is. It doesn't is not really here nor there for us. Let's look at Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. Right, that's interesting off of some support down over here. Right, this isn't an uptrend. Bouncing off support, giving an entry this morning over here on the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. Interesting, right? That's decent. On what's a good stop on what? You know, George. George, are you a member of CTM? I feel like you are. There's many good training sessions where we talk about stop loss placement, how we're managing our risk, and why. Mexico's freezing, JDK. Mexico's absolutely freezing. We have no heat here is the reason. And this point of the year is absolutely like Canada will be definitely warmer because they have heat. So I'm sure in Norway also you have heat. In Mexico you get chilled to the bone. It is absolutely well, it's Mexico. So all right, let's keep going. Let's look for where we got Australian dollar, Japanese yen, right? I saw that Heath snowing in Oaxaca. Oh, I didn't know it snows in Oaxaca. I was married in Oaxaca. Love Oaxaca at the Church of San Domingo. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place. Great food. Beautiful culture. Right over here, we're looking at my Bitcoin. It will be warmer and louder. We already got 5 kids running around. A couple of Bitcoin miners would be good for teaching them about money, though. Hey, Dad, what are you doing with all that noise? So Australian dollar, Japanese yen. Again, I mean, I'm holding down from over here. Heath got some people in this morning on a shorter time frame on this dip over here. I think that was in his weekly review. I didn't see it. Heath, if you are listening, get that video out on Saturday if at all possible. Give people more time. It's way too cold. It's not even kidding, Hips. It's just way too cold. Wood stove, I don't think they exist here. It gets cold. It really does. It does get cold this time of year. That's where we're at right now, though. Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. What's going on, folks? Is this worth? So what is going on? You ready? I see 2 things that could potentially be happening over here. Someone could have took a short here, right? During London over there. They could have went short over here for sure last night. That's a rejection. You're in a downtrend off of resistance. It's a good trade, right? Even if it doesn't work out, it's the type of trade, if you take all year long, you're going to be a profitable trader. So it's a really good trade, right? Stop loss on that trade, where would it be if someone took this short, right? Is it right above there, right? That's probably where everyone would have it. I don't think there's even a look at where else it could be. If it could be somewhere else, it's the same spot. So it has to be right around there. We'll see what happens. Could you mine XRP? You can't mine XRP, right? I don't know. You can't even run a node on XRP, right? You have to get permission from Ripple to run a node. I don't understand. I saw a podcast on Anthony Papalano talking to the CEO of and founder of XRP, and he's like, "Yeah, it's decentralized. But you can't run a node, so I don't know how decentralized it is. But who cares? Right? Let's see. Tesla. So, how much was Tesla up this year, by the way? Quick question. For those riding Tesla, 2020, let's go to January 2nd, right over there. Like, Tesla's up 500% this year. That's insanity, right? What's going to happen if Biden pushes this huge clean energy, quote unquote, clean energy initiative, multi-trillion-dollar initiative? 500%. Wow. US dollar, Swiss franc. Let's check it out. Let's move over. Look at that. It is breaking down to new yearly lows. Wow. There's nothing else I could say except beautiful. Look at the dollar now as New York came in here. Dollar being sold this morning. All right, let me clean this up. 1 second, folks. All right. Yeah, precious metals are kind of like, you know, I mean, this is an interesting level, 1848, if gold retakes it, right? Silver, if it retakes 2432. But even under the best case scenario, right, which is what? That precious metals go on to make new yearly highs, and whether that, I don't think that's by the end of the year. I mean, but even if that is, by, let's call it, the end of February, March, I mean, it's not really the most attractive trade right now. Nevertheless, let's watch them as they come into this resistance over there, clearing above this resistance. That will have been the first bit of technical repair that they've done after breaking out over here. I think that gold 15% down was nothing more than bargain hunters coming into the precious metals. And rightfully so. If you were to look at gold right now and you were to say, listen, you have $100,000 to invest into something that if it goes up 15% from where it is now, you keep it. If it goes down 15%, you don't keep any of it. Gold would probably be one of the best investments. Bitcoin, it would not be, because Bitcoin, I would think, could go down 50% by tomorrow. That's perfectly possible. I don't see gold, after being down almost 15% from here off its lows, now up another few percent, going down another 15%. As far as safety, safety and certainty, I think gold is a high probability trade, and that's about it. It's not really the most attractive thing out there right now, which is platinum is a precious metal. Platinum, though, we looked at and gave a signal over there for gold this morning. For gold, platinum actually looked like this is something someone should be stalking right now for a swing trade entry. All right, let's see what else we got going on. So this is my whole mantra for Amazon. If I would have put all the money I've put into purchasing things off of Amazon off of the last 17 years, and instead have purchased Amazon stock with that money, forget about it. That would have been the trade of my lifetime. So I understand you're saying you should have bought Tesla stock instead of Tesla. There you go, Daryl. Knows what's up. Saving in Bitcoin, right? So gold is into resistance. Look, Ron, it's the entry point for this trade is when price, right now it's falling. It's dropping, right? Slow and easy Monday, good session as always. Boom. See you tomorrow. I'm gonna get into FX though, so if you want to see that later, come back and watch the replay. I still want to see what's going on over there. The entry, and again, I mean, Ron, take the course. The strategy taught is essential. It's cost next to nothing. The education, working with myself in the community, you can't even put a price on it. But the entry is always as price starts resuming back towards the direction you want to go. Right now, price is falling and moving down. Momentum is against you. You don't ever want to buy into a falling price, right? And you don't ever want to sell into a rising price. That is just taking an edge away from yourself. Wait for price to start resuming back towards the direction you're going to. A lot of people interested in gold, right? Is it between 8.6 and 11.6? So when I look at gold right now, by the way, and this is what's important right now, horizontal levels are always more important than any type of trend lines. And watch this resistance that we're into right now. It's not just clean right there towards that 1848. It also goes up a little bit. Look at the spike down over here into 1861. 1861, then over here was this area of resistance and resistance and resistance. We're into this pocket right now of resistance, right? So a lot of people, I'm saying, is gold at a buy signal? No, you don't look to buy gold into that bit of resistance. Let me go ahead and just, to make it even clearer for people, put in a little bit of horizontal right there, right? It's this little box. You don't buy into that. You got to clear above that and then look to firm that into support before getting long, right? You don't ever buy into resistance. So there we go. I thought you did, Ron. Okay, looking at the retest candle, it's long, and where it resumes, where would you take it? By the way, this brings up something else. So I'm going to go back to both of them. right? It's talking about over here on platinum and saying that's a long candle, right? This came up across. I don't think it was on the pound. What were we looking at this morning? Is it the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen? Nope. I guess we'll come back to it as I go through FX and we'll find it. Yeah, over here on the pound Japanese yen, right? So for me personally, and Ron is saying like on right here on platinum that you're looking at this big candle over here, right? So he doesn't want to buy up here. Well, I get that 100% because the reason being on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, right? And granted, my entry is down over here, but I wouldn't add to this position, right? Taking that one right out of the bull flag, maybe, right? But here's the retest, and the resumption's happening way up here off of that big candle. That's not a trade that I would take, right? I avoid that trade. The reason I'm saying is because the same thing or a similar thing is happening on platinum, and Ron is like, listen, I don't like how long that candle is, and I don't feel comfortable taking the trade up here. I agree 100%. There's no way that I would do that. Now, sometimes, and you'll see it happening in crypto more than any other markets, sometimes you get, really quick retests and then price rises, and you do want to take the breakout in crypto. It's just how crypto moves. That's not the case in other markets. Over here, look, if the entry was up here and it happened within the next hour, and you're like, it's just too far away, I don't want to take it, just avoid it. Don't get tied that I need to take a trade on platinum because there are so many different instruments, and just look for the trade that you want instead of forcing yourself to take a trade. And by the way, platinum's also down 2.5% today. Maybe you want to let it consolidate a little bit. All right. So what else? So Australian dollar, Japanese yen, again, looks very solid, but I don't think that's the entry. I think the entry has passed you. Pound pairs look to me to be all right now getting slaughtered out there. And because of the situation that we're looking at with, by the way, pound Australian dollar, we're seeing Australian dollar also being bid up. You're seeing the pound Australian dollar breaking down outside of that blue box over there. So regardless of what your personal beliefs are about what should happen when it comes to the pound and Brexit, that doesn't matter. Follow what's happening on the charts. I, Jordan, believe a hard exit will be better for the pound. I understand that right now the market is definitely pricing in no deal as being negative for the pound. I'm not going to get into a trade, just because I think something's different. Always follow what's happening out there. Let's look at the U.S. dollar, Canadian dollar, right? Wow, this is broken down a major level over here. Look at this. This is taking out this trend line over there, and I'm going to extend this one over here. I'm going to extend that one just so we can. I think we came into that resistance right now. Hold on one second. I want to do it without cheating. I don't ever want to cheat myself. It's like playing golf. Who are you cheating yourself? So over here that looks like if we resume off of over here, there's two areas. If we resume off of over here or trade back up into this area over here, both are giving opportunities for selling the Canadian dollar versus the U.S. dollar. Very interesting trade. Very interesting indeed, just because of what's happening technically. Amazing. All of this has now been retraced. This was the dollar milkshake theory playing out in real time right before everyone's eyes. Well, I mean, that's the same thing. A 30% pullback, it would be a 30% pullback. It could happen. I didn't see it. I was looking for a 30% pullback. The pullback was 16%. The two pullbacks before that going into the halving were 20% pullbacks. And I thought the reason that we had a 20% pullback around the time of the halving and not a 30% was because of what happened in March with the anomaly of us trading down to 3,800. I thought that's the reason, but then it happened again, no big deal, or towards September, and then we just had another one. So now I'm thinking, well, Jordan, the market is showing you something different, and I'm just a student of the market, so I'm paying attention to what the market does. Right now, the market is saying that the pullbacks seem to be less substantial than expected on Bitcoin, trade accordingly. Is it still possible we have a 30% pullback, and that means multiple 30% multiple smaller pullbacks equaling 30%? Still the same thing. I don't know that that's going to happen. It could happen, of course. I've maintained that we could see 30% pullbacks. All right. So where else are we at? Kips. Oh, sometimes it's a joy to be able to catch certain comments. New Zealand dollar, US dollar does look interesting right over here. Look, this is what we were talking about with these long candles. Nevertheless, this entry over here above this horizontal support, that looks interesting. That looks interesting. Yeah. So did gold now break? Yeah, wow. Gold just shot up. Let's look at that on a small time frame over there. Let's look at a 15-minute chart. Look at that. Wow. Beautiful. Right past or right into the resistance that we're looking and tracking. Let's see if we close above that today or are not and rejected. Oil continues to look good, but it's stabilizing, right? Wow. Let's look at silver. Silver getting above the 24.32 resistance. Is it coming into something else? Lightly over there. Lightly. Wow. If they clear, if both, we'll look at that in the afternoon update, because if they both clear this area of resistance, close above it, that sets up precious metal trades for later in the week. But they have to clear this level first. Is oil also bid on this action that we're seeing right now? No, oil is off. Oil is off firmly today, right? But that looks very, very bullish over here. Oil looks super bullish. This looks like a bull flag is developing, and that looks like it's just consolidating over here. Oil looks great. And I guess that ultimately I'm targeting over here, somewhere around 49.50 on oil. You guys are all right, though. Precious metals are the ones flying this morning, right? Oil was a dollar story. I mean, the dollar's unchanged on the day, and the dollar should continue to be weak, right? Especially if we are going to see the stimulus coming, right? Especially if we're going to see the stimulus coming. But, you have to ask yourself, if gold and silver are bid this morning because of stimulus, then what's Bitcoin doing? Because obviously we all know on the back of stimulus that the fastest horse in the race is Bitcoin. No question about that. The New Zealand dollar, US dollar is the trade here that I am considering and focusing on. Now, well, why is Ethereum moves double than Bitcoin? I mean, I don't know that they're double, right? Ethereum so far in 2020 has outperformed Bitcoin, but if you look at the bear market, I mean, Bitcoin greatly outperformed Ethereum. So why? I mean, it's a smaller market. It's therefore more volatile. That's going to continue. It's very clear that at this point in the stage that Ethereum is about to continue to outperform to the degree that I think that Ethereum Bitcoin is going to be one of the better trades over here. And again, this also right here looks very, very, very good. And unless it breaks below this 0.03 support over there, will continue to look very, very bullish. All right, yeah, someone poked Bitcoin. Wake it up. Let's see what's going on. So if I wasn't in the Australian dollar Japanese yen trade, I think that I would be looking here a little bit more closely at also the New Zealand dollar. But I think to migrate the risk a little bit, I think New Zealand dollar, US dollar looks kind of interesting over here. Could anyone talk me out of this trade? It looks pretty good to me. Yeah, that's good trading, James. That's really good trading, James. What's Litecoin doing this morning? Just like, I mean, well, again, for me, the easiest way to play the alts is as a basket of alts. Alt season is real. Alt season is beginning. They're going to melt faces. I saw a beautiful chart of Litecoin. I wish I had it, and it showed kind of where the target could be on the upside. I'll look for that chart. It wasn't my work. I'll share whoever it was. I hope so, Gary. I hope so. 40,000 is definitely my next level that I am watching. I don't know, whether or not it's coming by the end of the first quarter, 2021, or shortly thereafter, but it's coming. It's coming. I don't know, Eduardo. There are so many choices of brokers that it's absolutely ridiculous. It's very competitive. There are so many there are so many good brokers. I think you need to worry about like what's a bad broker, and you could just do some really quick searching. And as long as they're processing withdrawals and there's no problems with that, then for the most part, there's no problems. It's rare that I run into any type of problems with brokers or see any types of problems with brokers. I think that if you're trading FX, Oanda, especially if you're outside of Europe, connected to TradingView is the best setup that you could find. And I have several. You should have more than one broker is another thing. For if you're interested in trading crypto, Binance is a really good broker. You also have like choices like Coinbase Pro. You also have for buying Bitcoin, BlockFi, I believe, is the best way to do it. And there's just so many. So many. And Interactive Brokers is a great broker. If you're in the US and you want to trade futures, Interactive Brokers or TradeStation are two fantastic options. There are no lack of brokers. There are too many good brokers out there, no question. Yeah, I like BlockFi paying interest. I also like, and I've taken out multiple loans against my collateral at BlockFi. It's a non-taxable event, right? You're paying a fee for the loan in itself, and then you're paying back whatever the interest is, plus, paying back the collateral at the end. But it's a great way to do it. I've used it a lot. Market steady, unchanged, right? Gold and silver, making all the noise this morning. They shot up really quick in a really short amount of time. Let me try to pull up right now. Take a look at gold with you. This is the weirdest thing. My gold chart and my silver chart both disappeared. That's the strangest thing. I mean, I wouldn't use a VPN if you live in the US. If you can't use a broker because of where you live, then do not use that broker. Otherwise, you might not be able to withdraw your money. They're going to ask for KYC. Be very careful about that. But there's also Binance USA. There is Binance USA. Is it possible that the government confiscates Bitcoin or gold? I don't think so. They've tried that once already. It didn't work out. It would be a lot harder to do. TradingView having some issue. That's amazing. That sounds like Robinhood going down as stocks crash or melt up. That's really interesting. But they seem to have disappeared from my watch list. That's even more interesting. But I'll figure that out later. Nice, Brian. All right. What else? I think tomorrow morning, I'm going to send out an email. It looks like tomorrow morning we're going to do a CTM live training session. It'll be at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Look for an email in a little bit. Yeah, that's true. It depends on where you live, right? There's always other options, though. And if there's not, I mean, listen, if someone wanted to trade, for example, Bitcoin on leverage and just was not possible, then taking a position, if you lived in New York, for example, perhaps taking a position on Litecoin, would be like the equivalent of taking a lightly leveraged Bitcoin position. There are always ways to be creative and ways to do it. Just make sure whatever you're doing is completely legal. Don't use a VPN of a broker that you don't know if they ask for KYC that you're going to get your money out. I don't know that you'll be able to. Silver no longer exists. It's gone. Silver started minting up, so they got rid of it. The U.S. government, someone from the U.S., I forgot what it was, I can't quote it then, said last week, look, there's no way Bitcoin's being banned. Obviously, the opposite is happening. More and more favorable regulation are going out towards crypto. The only thing is that, of course, it's tracked. It's a public ledger. Do not think of it's so silly that some people think of Bitcoin as a way to avoid taxes. That's going to get you in so much trouble. It's a public ledger. All right, what else? Apple. We looked at Apple giving a buy signal down over here, right? And is now I wanted to bring it up this morning to you. This morning, as it was trading down over there, this is what I wanted to start the session off with you and tell you that after the original buy we looked at, this was now giving a new potential buy setup. It is resuming out of there. This is textbook as textbook could be, right? You could see over here this trend line, and then price broke out of it, retested it, and then this morning, right now during this session, is resuming out of it. It looks entirely bullish over there. How much of the XRP hype is real? I don't think any of it is real. It's going down 95% most likely from whatever high it prints during this bull market. It is mostly a question about who, I don't know who wants to hold it. I don't want to hold XRP, All right. Is there anything else we want to look at today? I haven't heard about that. That's interesting, Michael. So let's talk about this. So great comment. The concept of de-dollarization is in highly inflationary countries. For example, Argentina. We might see Bitcoinization. It's entirely true. Right? Hold on one second. What is Habar US dollar T? Listen, let me just talk about Bitcoin right now and its cycles. This is the opinion I'm going off of. You all know I'm flexible, whereas if the market shows me something different, i.e. that pullbacks are starting to lessen, I'm going to pay attention to it. I have no need to be proven right. I just want to be correct. So I just want to understand what the truth is and get to it. What the premise that I go off of right now, if you're talking about different countries that are getting away from the dollar, they might actually adopt Bitcoin. All of that is entirely feasible. I mean, it is happening, and the pace at which that happens, year over year, is going to start to progress. But I'm under the impression that we're going to see this bull market top out somewhere around September 2021, maximum December 2021. I lean towards the end of September. Right now, and when that happens, I'm also under the belief that we're going to see a massive drawdown during the bear market, 80 to 85%. Now, instead of 85%, I've always said it could be a little bit less. It could be 80, right? I believe that's going to happen. Then, when we're talking about the next bull market phase, which I'm going to position into, and I hope all of you position into it as well, we know that's 15 months before the next halving. Here's where it gets tricky. It is possible that is the last full cycle we have, and then we reach a point, right? It is possible that it happens on that coming cycle or the one after it, where then Bitcoin reaches such a level where there's no more bear market in Bitcoin, right? Where there's not an 85% drawdown. What the drawdown will be, I have no idea, but I imagine it'll be significantly less. I'm not trying to put a number on it, whether or not it's 30%. Or 40% or whatever the case may be. I'm just saying that the possibility right now the possibility exists to play this 4-year cycle. We have the bull market. I believe we're going to have a coming bear market in the future. That could change. So, and that makes sense as the market cap of Bitcoin becomes a multi-trillion-dollar market. You would expect the volatility to decrease on the upside and also on the downside. It's at JCL Capital. Caps, have a beautiful day. I think we're going to go out with some music over there. Why is gold shooting up today? Why is silver shooting up today? I don't know. I don't know if that has anything to do laughing with the fact that we're talking about a stimulus package coming in. I don't know, but we're at some interesting levels on both and gold and silver that if we close above them today, that's going to be opening up new swing trades on both of them. So we'll be watching for those levels. Hopefully TradingView gives my charts back. Really would like to appreciate that. I hope you all have a beautiful day. Dollar's unchanged right now, right? Slightly bearish. That's a good one, DN. Thanks, Boris, Kenneth, Regard, everyone. Using a dollar Japanese yen is very good. If I wasn't in the Australian dollar Japanese yen, I might be taking a look. Wow, Nasdaq go up, nice. Thanks, Dan. I appreciate it very much. Thanks for being here, everyone. Make Monday beautiful. Not games. Thanks for the comment. Thanks for being here. You guys all make this so beautiful. Thank you, Gemma, for being at Sunshines. Bilbo. Let's take a look at Apple. I don't think it's hard. But it's I don't think that you're seeing Iran central bank. Strawberry Jam. It's been a while since we shared one of your tweets. Thanks for everything. Thanks for being here. Luis, can you hear the microphone now? Is that clear? I just want to try to figure this out while you're all here. So let me take another test at the mic. 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, well, hopefully we'll have it fixed by next session. Thanks, Dave. Everyone, if you could hear me or not, have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you soon.